happened to me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Choices podcast episode. I am joined by Nessa this night. For once, we are not recording at 10 o'clock at night.
It's 5:30, almost 6. It's still pretty late in the afternoon, evening, whatever the heck you want to call it.
It's not 10 o'clock at night. And it won't run until like 1 o'clock in the morning. I swear.
Oh, I'll make it run till 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll text you at like 10. Alright.
Oh my god. Well, just so you guys know, I have fixed my mic issue. You all probably heard me pretty well due to my editing skills in the last podcast, but it turns out that I had my mic volume turned really low for whatever reason in the recording software, and I had it set like at 45. I was like, oh, so that's why you can't hear me over Nessa the entire time.
They could still hear you over me, trust me. Because you kept talking over me in the last episode.
We're gonna try to get better at this as we go on because after watching the last episode, I just realized how much I just enjoy talking over her.
I have permission to tell him to shut up. So if I say I'm not being mean, it's literally me trying to talk, and he's giving me permission to tell him to shut up.
That's her way of saying, let me finish my thoughts before you start talking. If I sound a little nasally, I apologize. I am getting over from being sick, and I'm still having some slight nose problems. Excuse me. So, in this podcast episode, we are going to be discussing two things. We're going to be mostly going over the new books that have been coming out and releasing, and because I am part of the spoilers program, yes, there will be spoilers in this podcast, just to make you all aware. So if you all don't want any spoilers over the upcoming books, then I will say you can go watch somebody else's podcast. But
or skip to a certain part of the video where we actually talk about our recent book we've read.
That is true.
I don't know when that's going to be.
You can skip to the end where we're doing our book review, which we will get to in a second. But in this one, I will be posting some of the upcoming book covers that I've been able to get my hands on. So, just so you know. And on top of that, I think our book that we're going over this time is Crimes of Passion Book 2, which has just wrapped up recently. And it was a doozy. There were some big revelations about that book that have been circulating around the internet. Did I tell you, Nessa, that it's getting a third book? Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, it's getting a third book. It comes out.
When?
I think 2025.
Yeah, that's too long.
Or it could come out at the end of 2024. I don't know, but it's probably going to be 2025 before it comes out. It takes about 2 years sometimes for a sequel. But
I need book 3.
The first thing we're going to discuss is a lot of changes to the scheduling that we have never seen. Choices has changed a lot within a very short period of time. I say they've become nicer towards a lot of the people that aren't VIPs, because
they definitely have. I am not a VIP member, and they do release. They said that they weren't going to release VIP books, and that is somewhat true. I can't read the alpha book and stuff like that, but most of the other, like, more common books, I guess you can say, they have released non-VIP chapters for us to read.
As we all know, it has been well-known knowledge for now. Starting in 2024, all sequels will go towards the VIP program now. So most wide release players are going to be waiting longer for books, but they did just come out with a new feature for the app. Literally, I think 2 days ago, it has been added to the newest update for 3.11. It is the VIP for a day deal. So if you spend, I think it's $2.99, you can get VIP privileges for 1 day, which I thought was, oh, good Lord, Windows, leave me alone. I swear this happens every time. So you can get VIP privileges for a day. I thought that was a pretty good, like that was one of their better deals that they've added to the app in a while because
I still think that it's kind of stupid.
I for a lot of people it's
It
better
does
than
give
paying
people.
$15 a month because let's say for if there's not a lot of books coming out in the VIP program right now, well, I mean, there's not a lot of books coming out period that you want to read because they're just dumb. So why spend a $15 for a whole month of access where you only want to read like one book? Well, you could catch yourself up by buying the day pass and just read that one book and then be done with it, and it expires the next day and all, and you know you've read everything you wanted to, and you get the unlimited keys and everything along with it, which is what a lot of people liked about the VIP program. I think that's the most popular feature, you know, is just the unlimited keys because I think it's like 3.5 4 hours to get one key. So I don't know.
Yeah, it most definitely it is. It's really stupid.
I still think 2.99. It's either 2.99 or 3.99, but whatever that is, I think is still too much. I think it should be $1, like 99 cents. It should be $1 because I mean, you're literally it's one day. I could see 3.99 if it was like a week's pass, like you got it for a whole week. Because I mean,
That's what I was saying. Why it's kind of stupid is because if it's for $3, I could buy coins in Minecraft and buy like 9, 10 worlds. For $3, I get 1 day access.
it's not the best pricing. I think they need to come down a little bit. I think they need to do tiers. Like me and a buddy of mine on the fandom, we have talked about they need to do the daily pass, a weekly pass, and then we have our monthly pass, and then they need to do an annual subscription. So like you could pay like $120 for a whole year of
I don't think it should be that expensive.
it. That's how much
I
annual
know.
passes typically are. Like if you looked at chapters is 140 for a whole year's
Mhm.
access. But
Also, there's other platforms that are cheaper. For Nintendo, you can pay $20 and get a yearly pass.
sadly,
For
Nintendo's also a multi-billion-dollar company, whereas Pixelberry is not. So they have to charge a lot more. Just like I think it's like $80 for PlayStation, and you get a whole PlayStation annual pass, and it's $80. But with that, you also get certain games for free and things like that. But so
I
we're
think it should
discussing
be
the
50.
calendar, and
Um,
as we all know, Pixelberry's become a lot nicer recently. October is the first time, and I don't know how long, that they have released 2 books in 1 month. So Alpha just released on Friday the 13th. I read it. It's a fantastic book so far. I love it.
I
Um,
can't read it yet.
you should get that day pass then.
I don't have any
I
money.
could send you money. Well, I mean, I wish I could. I can't, but I wish I could. Um,
I need to get a gift card
the
just so I can buy the day pass.
Ship of Dreams comes out next week on Wednesday, on the 25th. The 25th or the 26th. I think it's 25th. Um, and that is Pixelberry's version of the Titanic. So we'll be playing a female character. It is gender locked for those who are curious. If you didn't know that already, it's pretty wide knowledge now. But it is gender locked, and you're going to be playing a female character, a wealthy female character, going on the book or going on the ship to. Your parents are like arranging to find you a partner while on board the ship, and then of course you fall in love with a very poor person while on the ship. And you know, it's just like Jack and Rose's story from Titanic. And what people don't know and what they're really anxious to learn about is if, like Jack at the end of Titanic, if they're gonna die. So if it's gonna be one of those tragedies, we don't know yet. Honestly, that doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some other people because I mean, there are some good tragedies in the end. At least he died sacrificing himself for you. Unlike with Every Heartbeat, where you watched your partner die of cancer, that's a lot more depressing. in my opinion. But so yeah.
I don't think they should die at all. I think that they should live. Or make the female character die too.
Well, you're a sappy romantic who lives happily ever after. But
That's it.
the next thing coming up in November um, is the Cursed
The
Heart Book
Curse
2.
Heart too.
And I am super excited for that one. I miss my my main character, my MC, Phineas. I miss him a lot. He was one of my favorite characters. And then I loved Kieran. Kieran was an excellent love interest. But that one I will I'll be posting all the covers throughout this as we talk about them. So everybody I think has seen the cover for Alpha and Ship of Dreams, but I'll put them in here anyway. And then I have the covers for all the upcoming books that we are about to talk about. So, of course, the Cursed Heart Book 2 comes out in November, and then we're going to December, which is another double release month. So in that month we have Guarded, and we have Unbridled. So Guarded and Unbridled both come out in December. Now here's the thing about Guarded. Nobody, not even me, knows anything about this book. I don't have a cover for it. I don't have a plot line for it. I don't got anything. So I have no idea what Guarded is going to be about, period. And Unbridled is the not... They keep going back on this. So a lot of people think it's book 2 to Untamable, but it's not. And I don't think Pixelberry ever planned... They planned on making an Untamable book 2, but this one's not called Untamable 2. It's Unbridled, an Untamable story. So it's like a side story to the Untamable plot. And
I feel like it's Kai. Shush it for a second. I feel like it's gonna. I feel like it's gonna be one of those books that it's an in between book. So we have book 1, and then we're gonna read that one, and that's when it's gonna give us like information leading us up to book 2, if that makes sense. And then I think they're gonna release book 2 if they ever release it.
yeah, the book 2, the reason why I think they backtracked on that a lot is they set it up. So as we all know, Untamable was a gender of choice. And then they set it up like book 2 was going to be about your brother your older brother, which I can't actually remember his name right now. God, it's been so long since I've read the book. It was terrible. That's why I didn't reread it. But your best friend Mandy, and then your older brother Austin. That was his name. Your older brother. So it's gonna be Austin and Mandy's story. And a lot of people were like, "Whoa, hold up!" So we're gonna go from a gender of choice book to a gender locked book, and we don't even get to change the genders of those characters. And so a lot of people were really wary of that, and like, so it really made a lot of people very angry. And so I think
That's kind of stupid.
it is
If
stupid.
we're going from one book to another, it should be about us specifically and our characters, not other characters, and more importantly, it should not be gender locked.
No, it should not be gender locked. And I agree that if they were going to make a book 2, it needed to be like a continuation of your character and Kit's story. But it obviously they closed it and they were going to move on to another character. Well, I think they backtracked on the idea of doing a book 2 and have now done Unbridled, which is going to be a side story to that, and they might just leave it at that and not even continue the series after that because they kind of backed themselves into a corner with that idea. So I have really no clue.
If only they took fans' advice.
Exactly. They do need to listen to their fans a little more often. I do have the cover for that book, which I'll also put up on screen. That's really all I have for you. I don't actually really have much of the idea of the plot for that one. I mean, it looks like it's going to have something to do with bulls, because that's the cover of the book. It has a bull on the front of it and a man wrestling it, so we'll see. But the next book coming up in January is Hot Shot, which is Pixelberry's first sports romance, which is a hockey romance. Nessa, you know anything about hockey?
No.
Well,
Also,
neither do
would
I.
think I don't think that that'd be about cars, not hockey.
I
or
know
football or something.
you know they should have done something like football if I'm being honest, because or baseball for that matter. Hockey is not to me like America's most well-known sport. So,
I
I
think
know
hockey's known in Canada more.
it is, but apparently I looked it up. The US has a ton of hockey teams, ice hockey teams.
We
Uh
do? Wait, hold on.
and I've actually read there are like a lot of hockey romances on like Kindle Unlimited. I own a lot. In fact, I own one in hardback, back there on my bookshelf. But I don't know. I don't know anything about hockey. I don't keep up with the NHL or anything like that. So, but
You hit a puck on ice and you make goals like soccer.
yeah, think of it as like lacrosse meets ice skating meets shuffleboard meets soccer. That's a that's all I got for
Also,
you.
I have heard a theory of guarded. Apparently, a bunch of people are think it's going to be another bodyguard story where we have to be guarded for whatever reason, and whether it be we're in the police force and we have to be guarded, or we're princesses or princes and we have to be guarded. Don't know if I believe it or not, though.
I don't know about that either because they've done the bodyguard romance before and it was terrible. Have you ever read Witness?
I only got through a couple chapters and then lost interest.
Hated
It was
Witness.
pretty interesting at first.
To me,
But
the
then when it got like towards the middle, after they like moved her into witness protection, it kind of got really boring because it was just the bodyguard following her around everywhere. Like, you can't do that. No, do this. Blah blah blah. Which I know like that's the point of being protected, but also at the same time, like I don't know, it was just really boring. Like they could have added more like funner experiences or made her like have a job and the bodyguard come with, but they didn't even do that, I don't think.
well, he did make her good a job eventually, but the it was that part was actually kind of funny. But the problem was is a lot of people didn't like the main character because she was such a whiny, spoiled brat that complained about everything. And the job he got for her was making her I think like shuck oysters or something like that. Which that part
Well,
was
like,
funny.
she has a reason to be complaining. Like, imagine you witness a murder and then you report it to the police, and then the police are like, oh, yeah, we have to move you away from your friends and family because you witnessed this murder. You can't contact them, you can't hang out with your friends, you can't tell them nothing besides, oh, I have to move and I can never talk to you again. Like, I feel like she has a reason to complain. Like, imagine how you would feel in that scenario, because you can't even tell your family, oh, I'm in witness protection, or
And
oh, this happened.
that's one thing, but she complains about not being able to eat the food she likes because it's not up to her taste. She complains that she can't drive and she has to walk, use her own two legs and walk to a destination or have to drive a bicycle because it's such menial labor. She complains that her windows squeak too much and she actually made the bodyguard go up and fix all the windows in the house.
Well, that part I can agree with because sometimes I know, didn't she live by the coast, if I remember correctly?
She
It
lived
was
in a
like a
penthouse apartment building in Boston.
no, whenever they put her in witness protection.
Oh, well, they put her in a cottage on Nantucket Island, one of the most expensive places in the US to live.
Exactly, but they put her by the coast, so that part the windows and stuff I can understand, and even the food I can understand to some extent because they do have different foods there. Like, I don't like certain things, and imagine if that was like the only thing I was able to eat.
This is one of those we're going to have to agree to disagree on. When you have to do something to preserve your life, I just don't do complaining. I don't do the spoiled brat acting. I just don't because not everything can go your way. Not everything can be your way. Sometimes you just have to do what you got to do and suck it up and not complain about it. And instead of doing that, she just made everybody around her miserable, trying so hard to get the way she wanted it. And I just can't do that. I just
Well,
can't.
that part I can agree with.
I was
But
just
as
like,
I was saying, concentrate for a second. As I was saying though, there are certain foods that make people physically sick to eat, and we don't know that could have been what happened, which is why I was saying I feel like she has a reason to be picky to some extent because we don't know if she has those issues or whatnot, but also at the same time, because we don't know, it's safe to assume, that she might not have those issues, so I can see why some people are mad about it.
Oh, she didn't have those issues. She just flat out said she didn't like it because it was below her standards. See, they wrote that character on purpose. She was supposed to be the rich girl thrown into a situation that she wasn't used to, and she didn't deal with it well. She did change over time, especially when she fell in love with the marshal, and then they left for Ireland in the latter half of the book. So she
Okay,
did
that part
have
I can understand then.
she
I can
had
see
some
why
growing
people are mad
pains.
about that.
And I was pleased that she did grow up a little bit in the second half of the book. But in the beginning, she was very unlikable. She was a very unlikable character, probably the most unlikable main character I have ever had to deal with. But moving on, so and then in February, our newest book that we have been actually given a name for is A Taste for Royalty, which has a lot of people
They're
rolling their
making
eyes.
another rolling, or not rolling, royalty book. How many does that make? Like 8, 9?
No, way more than that. Because the Crown and the Flame trilogy was royalty. The
Hold
Royal
on.
Romance series, Royal Heir, Royal Finale.
Hold on, I'm going to the app and gonna actually count. So
And
that's
then they
one.
have, of course, Crimes of Passion counts because it has royalty in it and it's a romance. I'm trying to think of what else. The Unexpected Heiress also has to do with aristocracy, so not exactly kings and queens. Desire and Decorum also has to do with British aristocracy. So there's a lot of royalty books on this.
They need to make a freaking, where is it at? Browse by series. Uh, no. I'm surprised that they don't have a stupid book, or not book, a not series. What's it called? Genre. There we go. Genre of just royalty books on here.
They need
They
they
have
need it.
fantasy,
They neither go. They
but
neither have sort by genre and then by series. I feel like needs to be a section on the app. They kind of had
I'm
that
too.
section in the new section, but they don't have one designated for royalty.
I was gonna count. Oh well.
Um, Let me think. But A Taste for Royalty has a lot of people. Oh, and the Princess Swap. We forgot about the Princess Swap. That also has royalty in it. But A Taste for Royalty has a lot of people rolling their eyes because they feel like for one, it's another royalty book, which a lot of people didn't want. I can understand that. I didn't really want another royalty book, and a lot of people think
They
it's
need to
also going to
make
be.
more mystery books.
They do, or horror. We're lacking in the horror department a lot.
They only have, I believe, well, 2 horror books.
Well,
Technically 3 if you wanted to count the murder mystery where our friend goes missing because of the cult-like stuff, I guess you could say.
um, the It Lives anthology is horror, and then Wake the Dead is horror.
So that's 3 books,
That's
and then
I can't think of anything. Well,
wait,
The Haunting of Braidwood Mansion also counts as horror.
so like 4.
So that's 4 books, and that's all. That's all there is. The rest are mysteries and thrillers. Excuse me. So yeah, that.
No, honestly, most of those books are royalty books because the only mystery books that we have is the 2 new ones, and then the one, as I said, where our friend goes missing.
Yeah, and Murder at Homecoming. Those are all. Those are all mysteries.
Yeah,
the funny.
there's only like 4 mysteries.
The funny thing is they actually count foreign affairs as a mystery. Did you know that?
Why?
I don't know because there's not a mystery aspect to that at all. At all. Um, but yes, and then from the unnamed books that we have coming up, which I wish I could go back and look up my Choices Insider emails, but I cannot because I deleted them all accidentally. But there is the paranormal romance coming up where we can romance a ghost, I guess. Don't know how that one's gonna work out, but hey. Um, and it's a murder mystery, I guess. I don't know. All I know is we have a ghost that you can romance. Don't have a name for that one either. And I know that
Are we sure we can't romance vampire? Whatever the heck he's called. Uh you
vampire
were just talking we were just talking about this too. Hold on, I'm gonna go look at our messages.
Dracula.
Yes.
We're not bringing that back up.
Yes we are.
Nobody here wants to seduce Dracula. Not as much as you do, apparently.
It was supposed to be a joke in reference to the last podcast episode.
God, we that was like a 10-minute segment too, talking about ways to seduce Dracula. But Immortal Desires Book 2 comes out in February, and A Taste for Royalty comes out in March. So everybody is looking forward to Immortal Desires Book 2. I certainly am. Immortal Desires was one of my favorite books that we ever made or ever read. So we haven't done a review on that one. We should do one soon, probably around the time that Immortal Desires comes out. We'll do a review on the first book.
Yay.
But that's really the end of the updates. Blades of Light and Shadow is also out right now. It's the last, I believe. I don't want to say this because I don't want to get it wrong, but I do believe Blades of Light and Shadow is the last wide released book that didn't start out as a VIP. So after this, everything's going to be VIP, including sequels. So people were pretty pissed because the Cursed Heart Book 2 is going to be VIP. And the reason why is because the Cursed Heart Book 2 was actually originally slated to be released in early 2024, but they finished it ahead of schedule, so they're releasing it early. Originally, that's why we're having, because Ship of Dreams was originally supposed to come out in November, but because the Cursed Heart is coming out in November now, they pushed Ship of Dreams back into October. But the Cursed Heart Book 2 is VIP release, which a lot of people are like, you're backing out on your promise because you said no sequels were going to come out as VIP in 2023. And we were like, well, technically that's true, but you have to remember the Cursed Heart Book 2 was originally supposed to come out in 2024. And because it was a 2024 release, it was going to be VIP anyway, so they're not changing it just because it's coming out ahead of schedule.
Well, it's still freaking stupid.
It is stupid, but the reason why, and a lot of people don't bring this up, but because people pushed so hard for Immortal Desires Book 2, which was originally not supposed to be a book, Immortal Desires was a standalone, they had to make a budget somewhere to make this book and make this book ahead of schedule too. It's coming out a whole year early. So because of that, they needed more money. They were like, okay, well, we'll give you this book, but now everything's going to be VIP, and you all will have to deal with it, and it might not ever reverse. But they did say...
That's why I'm saying that it's freaking stupid.
This one's on the
because
fans,
now if,
not on the
now
company.
if we want to read... Well, it is technically on the company.
It was their decision, and it's the smart one, because otherwise they would have lost money.
Well, they could have said no and waited to release and publish the book next year, and they wouldn't have to do this.
Well, the thing is they weren't originally going to make the book at all. So they gave them a choice. There was a poll. It was like, how badly do you want Immortal Desires Book 2? It was in the email. And everybody was like, we want it, and we want it now. And they were like, okay, we'll make it for you, but there's going to be some strings attached to this. And these were the strings attached. Everything's going to VIP. So because, the fans wanted this so bad, there's going to be some drawback on it. And, honestly, it wasn't as... People weren't as angry as I thought it was going to be.
Does that mean every single book they release from now on is going to be VIP?
Yes. Every single book. and it will all go to wide release original. Just like every first release, but
Eventually,
every sequel now, which sequels were originally not VIP, but every sequel now will also be VIP. And they might go back and change this later on, but I doubt it. It'll probably be a permanent feature now, which is
so
really
first time
aggravating.
book. So first time books, are they gonna be wide released eventually?
Yeah, they will.
Okay, good.
So everything will get wide release originally. So let's clarify that. It's not going to be locked behind VIP forever. Just like, because that's what a lot of people were worried about. Or like, yeah, it's not. So it will be wide released originally. You're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer because this is just the new way things are now to make them more money so they can make more sequels. Because a lot of people were complaining that books weren't getting a lot of sequels, and that is because they didn't have a lot of money to make sequels. So this is their way of trying to make more sequels for books that and deserve them. Although I feel like they're also wasting some that don't need a sequel. I'm really worried that The Billionaire's Baby is going to get a second book.
It
I really
probably
hope it
is.
doesn't. A lot of people don't know if Blades of Light and Shadow book 2 is going to be the last book in that series, because people are like, well, if they make a third book, it's going to be VIP. So are they going to make like a VIP sandwich out of this? And that's what a lot of people were worried about. Because the first two, as far as I know, I can't remember if Blades was originally a VIP book. I don't think it was. So that would make the third book the first VIP in that series. Which, I mean,
No,
obviously
I'm pretty sure it is VIP.
it was. I couldn't remember
Pretty
because
sure.
2020 was a long time ago. So the I think you're right. I think it was originally VIP, and the second book wasn't. So,
Because I had to know the second book too was also somewhat VIP until they release the
oh,
episodes. Or at least it was for a little bit. Now it's changed after the update.
Blades of Light and Shadow Book 2 was never VIP because it's the last sequel that was that's going to be wide released. Just like Crimes of Passion Book 2 also wasn't VIP. But those will be the last sequels that will be wide released this year, I believe, because no other sequels come out except for the Cursed Heart Book 2. Excuse me. But moving on.
I still feel like that they should make the Cursed Heart 2 non-VIP.
I do too, especially since they decided to release it early. That's not the fans' fault that they decided to release it early, and that they should still keep their promise to make it wide release. Because all sequels that were coming out in 2023 were supposed to be wide release, and they said that themselves. That's in their own words, and they because book 2 got done ahead of schedule, now it's going to be VIP lock because it was originally going to be released in 2024.
Well, that part I understand, but because it got finished early, I feel like that they should freaking change it.
I do too, and a lot of fans would agree. Unfortunately, they're not going to. So that's just, and they face backlash for that, but of course they don't care. But another new thing they have started is the VIP exclusive program. So just like there's some new features that were added to the app that were wide release exclusive, they have day passes and things like that for certain books where you can read the book for free without needing any keys or anything like that.
Oh yeah, I've been getting rewards for that. You can read such and such book for free.
The new thing is there's going to be specific books released to VIPs only. So like the Dalton Affair and Bloodbound Origins, those are all VIP exclusives and they will never be wide release. So those are just some new features that they've added to the app, which I thought was pretty cool because so far we haven't had anything in VIP. Excuse me. So far, there hasn't been anything they've made VIP that is like just for VIPs. VIPs get the unlimited keys and the extra diamonds, but there's not a feature that nobody else hasn't gotten yet, because every time they added a diamond feature for VIP, they gave, the wide release another option to get diamonds. So like the 100 diamonds a day, and the diamond passes for books and things like that. So, but now VIPs get exclusive books, which I think is pretty cool. Moving on, I think we're going to do our book review for Crimes of Passion Book 2, which I think we're both heavily opinionated about.
I love it.
I loved it too. And I personally think a lot of people thought the villain was kind of obvious. I actually didn't think so. Everybody kept changing their mind, and everybody's guesses kept changing on who the villain could be. So, spoiler alert, we are going to be discussing this. So, if you haven't finished Crimes of Passion Book 2, then I would suggest stop listening. But so, starting off with the negatives, we're going to go over the pros and cons of the books. For me, the pros for me was the relationship building between the MC and Tristan. I thought was really sweet. They had a really good relationship. I feel like I haven't had a partner in any other Choices books that had the type of relationship that your MC and Tristan had. Their dynamic was really, really good, and I like the way they worked together. But a negative that I think everybody can agree upon is I didn't really like the whole royal setting once again. Now, I did like that this was like a darker take on the royal romance, because it actually takes place in that world, obviously, because like Olivia from the Royal Romance series comes in and she plays a part in this series and she helps you. But the story definitely is just the royal aspect was kind of killing me. I don't know if it's because they've just done so many of those that it gets boring having the setting, but the one thing I did like is it kept you guessing. Nobody really knew. Everybody had their own opinion on who the killer could possibly be, and I was really interested in seeing how they were going to tie Naja's and Juliana's and Sebastian's deaths all together. Like, who? As in the beginning, I thought, well, are there going to be like two different killers, because they were all killed in completely different ways, and in the end, you find out they were killed for almost completely different reasons. So there was that. But in the end, we found out it was Vasily's. He was the murderer. He is the second oldest brother in the family, and it was a big shocker, kind of. We had a filling in the beginning. It could have been Astrid, it could have been Lydia, it could have been even the Queen, it could have been the Duchess, but it was Vasily.
Well,
And
the queen had an alibi. Most of the siblings had an alibi. Besides, I believe it was. I don't even. Which one was it? It was one
Lydia's
of the girls.
alibi you found out was a lie.
Yes. But it was one of the brothers. They didn't have an accurate alibi. Like, they didn't even have an alibi at all.
Well, you found
Which
out
one
that
was that?
Sebastian was in
Yes,
contact
it
with
was him.
Naja. Um, and a lot of people suspected him too, but obviously he ended up dying. So obviously it couldn't have been him. But it was just they tied the mystery together pretty well. The mystery itself was
The
constantly
mystery
changing.
part was really good, I think, because as you said, it did keep us questioning, but the royal part in the story did not fit at all.
Yeah,
Like, our partner got taken to his homeland and was suspected for murder, and then the siblings get killed. That was the only royal really part about it, because we don't form a relationship with the family besides questioning him about the murder. We don't stay in his home country. I'm pretty sure he comes back to New York City with us, I believe.
yeah, it felt kind
Um,
of wasted.
like, I feel like because of the fact of that we were of course they didn't know this, but we were dating their son, that they could have somewhat, gave us information about his homeland or about the history of the kids or the family and stuff. And they did give us some history, but they didn't give us a lot, that tied into the story somehow. Like maybe they could have given us more background about their lives when they were kids or stuff like that to maybe figure out why they wanted to be king or queen or whatever in the first place. Instead, they didn't do that. It's, oh, he's not a good fit. That's why I wanted him in jail. That's why we brought him back, and that's why I killed them because I wanted to be the king. Like that was really it about the royalty.
I just am so sick of the whole royal trope, and I didn't feel like we got to know the siblings very much at all. I really wish they played a bigger part into them, because we spent most of the time in the book just interrogating them, and that's about it. They didn't. That's only when their characters really showed up. They didn't play a bigger part in that, except for
That's why I
Lydia.
was saying I felt like they could have given us a backstory about the family.
I really wish
Like
their
they did a
characters had showed up more in the book.
Yeah, like they did a as I said they did a really good job with the mystery, but the royal part wasn't there, and even the relationship with our partner, like it was there, but also at the same time, like they could have done more.
They definitely. I don't like how they played our character down for Tristan's drama, like their family drama, and then our
Yeah,
character kind of took a backseat. I felt like our character was just a side character, and that Tristan was actually the main character in this book, because we spent more time dealing with their problems
hmm
than solving the mystery sometimes. Even though his problems did lead into sometimes finding a new clue about the mystery, but our character didn't play as big of a role in that book as I wanted them to. And I hope
that's
they.
why I'm saying I felt like if they could have done a better job with our relationship to our partner and Tristan in the series,
Because in the
like
first book, the first book they did it so well.
exactly. Like they worked on the relationship with the character and they also made it about us. Like they made Tristan a wonderful partner and team player and stuff like that, and in the end, the characters got together. In this story it's, oh, at first, it was about us. In the first couple chapters it was about us solving why they brought him back to his home country, homeland. That part I can kind of understand, you know, but like after that, you are right, it is mostly about him, and we did take the back seat, and there was no relationship development at all. Um, we did help him with the mystery, but it's like, oh, here are certain clues. Let's interrogate your family. That's it. And there was only like two or three times where we actually got to develop our relationship with Tristan as a person. And then toward the end, he's like, oh, yeah, I want to be with you. Like, I
Yeah,
felt
you.
like they could have done a bit better developing the relationship, especially since we did take a basically the back seat, like you said, in the story.
You lose that kind of that warm fuzzy feeling of the relationship. Like I got that throughout the whole first book, and then in the second book it felt more dull. Like, yeah, you're in a relationship now, so we're gonna push that all to the side. And
Yeah, like in the first book, like he was trying, like he was really flirty and stuff like that. He was really a nice, a wonderful partner, a wonderful character, and he made sure, that he helped us and we helped him and whatnot. But in the second book, they pushed everything off. And I think it is because the two main characters started dating.
yeah, and it lost that slow burn feeling. Like in the first book, you felt like you were building up to that relationship, and then you felt really good when you achieved it at the end of the book. And then in the second book, it's like, well, we're gonna. His character became so much more dull. Like he lost that bright personality almost, and that his personality just wasn't the same. And I know his character was dealing with a lot in the second book, but I felt like his character lost what made his character, and then he became just kind of more generic, which was aggravating because I didn't appreciate how they treated the main character or Tristan in the second book. And what I'm worried about is that the third book is going to focus more on our character and then try to shove Tristan off to the side. And like, there are a lot of people on the fandom that don't like Tristan, which I don't understand because he's one of the better love interests on this platform. But yeah, I'm afraid it's going to become all about our character and their father's murder, and then we're going to shove Tristan off to the side, and they're just going to be, a side character all of a sudden, which I don't like.
I don't think that they'll try to do that just because in the first book we did get some clues about our father's killer. Um, while and he was helping us actively solve that, and Tristan himself, seemed really active about our emotions and even concerned and worried about our father's murder case. So I don't think that they would do that per se, but they might. I'm really hoping that they don't, though.
I'll be really really angry. I'm gonna remain hopeful until the book comes out, and we'll see how they handle that situation. Because as of right now, I have no reason to believe that they would do that. But watching how they treated the main character in the second book, I just hope they don't return the favor to Tristan in the third book. So we'll see.
Well, even then, like, it wasn't really Tristan's fault per se of how he treated us. As you said, he was going through a lot, and he did try and pursue our relationship in the book. It was the writer's fault that he acted that way. So I don't think they would make him come back for vengeance or revenge for how I guess we were treated. I don't think they would make the main character do that, but you never know.
Like I said, I'm gonna remain hopeful until the third book comes out, and we're just gonna pretend that the second book, you know, that didn't happen, and hopefully they fix their mistakes in the third book. Um, as far as the ending goes, I actually liked the way they ended the second book. It didn't feel abrupt like a lot of endings are. It felt very closed and satisfying. It didn't leave you on the
It
like, oh, well, this they just sped through this, and then you're just left there with whiplash. Like, what on earth just happened? So
To me, it kind of felt that way, but also at the same time it didn't because I had a feeling that he would hand off the crown like he did. Like I even messaged you about that, saying, "Hey, I think that they're gonna do this," and you even agreed with me. But the fact of how they did that per se, like he didn't talk to his parents like, "Oh, I'm gonna hand over the crown." It was literally at his coronation. He was like, "I'm giving my sister the crown, and I'm gonna go back with them."
that
I
part was
think that's why
abrupt.
it was
Like,
so abrupt. Yeah.
I kind of wish they built into that a lot more and just be like, oh no, I'm just tossing the crown to good old lids, and then we're gonna move on. And
That's what I'm saying, as if I feel like that he should have told us because they made us believe that in the story, like, oh, we're gonna, or oh, that Tristan's gonna stay, that we're gonna have to move on from him, blah blah blah. And it made our character really sad, to have to do that. Well, then, as I said, all of a sudden, that happened. I feel like they could have told us, maybe been like, "Hey, I'm gonna hand off the crown," or even talk to his parents about the situation, like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna hand off the crown to so and so."
I feel like they did that on purpose just to like throw some suspense in the book itself, but I feel like it could have been just a tad bit different because it felt a little bit meaningless in the be like, oh yeah, it, and then I did like the way they. The only thing I didn't like is, unlike the first book where they gave a little bit of a sneak peek into what the second book was going to be about, they didn't do that at the end of the second book into like what the third book is going to be about. Even though everybody has a pretty good idea that it's going to be about our dad. Um,
I think it is going to be because, like I said, in the first book, we got some hints about our father's murder, and then in the second book, we didn't. So there's no possible way that it cannot be about our father's murder because we've already solved the murder of who killed our ex fiance. It was his brother. So there's no mystery to that there. So unless somehow some of his other family gets killed in the next book, I'm pretty sure it's going to be about our father.
it better not be about his family again. Because I am kind of curious about our father's murder mystery and what played into that. But
I have a suspicion. In the first book, there was that random mystery character, which I thought was going to play a role in the second book, but they did not. That we were introduced to, that we weren't even introduced to them. It was the guy in the cloak. He was really mysterious. I feel like that's going to have a part to play in the case. I feel like maybe I know our father was going over a murder or a case at the time that he was killed, if I remember correctly. So I think it's going to have something to do with that.
there's a lot of speculations that can be made. I don't really have a clue what our father was involved in because, he could have been involved in something that we didn't know about or what. Because
Well,
as even the main character alluded to, even his own father wasn't free of corruption in the police department. So he could have been doing something underhanded, and it ended up costing him his life. So we really don't know.
what I think what happened is we do know that he was investigating a murder and stuff like that. And I'm thinking that maybe possibly that while he was investigating the murder, that the people came up and, threatened him, if you don't lie or do such and such for us, then we'll kill you. As some murder cases are, when cops hide evidence, it's because they were threatened by someone who was a part of the actual case themselves.
And who knows? It could have been somebody within the police department that was trying to get him to stop doing something or stop investigating something, and it was a corrupt person in the police department, and they killed him. So
Or that could be it as well. Maybe the police force knew who committed the crimes. Maybe it was even one of them themselves or even a relative.
every time we bring it up, I
We
get
don't know.
more and more anxious for this third book, but it's going to be a long time before it comes out.
At least you have VIP.
Yes, I do.
I might buy VIP just so I can beat the third book when it comes out.
We're going to have to, when Alpha gets more chapters out, we'll do a review on Alpha. Because Alpha is a pretty good book so far. Not enough chapters are out right now for me to give a good opinion on it yet. Just
I
because,
can't even read it.
yeah,
It's not.
poor Nessa
It's
can't
not
even read it.
normal.
But it's interesting so far, and it has my attention insofar as my favorite book of the year that has been released. So
No spoilers.
yeah, no spoilers. I'm not going to say anything on that book. It hasn't been out long enough for me to even spoil anything. Let's just say that our love interest is one of my favorites so far. But I
Well,
love
I
it.
know nothing about the book besides that there's a werewolf in there.
I do love me a good werewolf. They're hot. What
That's
can I
about
say?
it.
But anyways, I think we're drawing to a close on this. To just give one final opinion on Crimes of Passion Book 2, I do believe it was a really good book. There are just some things I wish they had done differently. I wish that our main character played a bigger part in it. I wish Tristan's character hadn't changed so much. And I wish they had done a better job with the royalty aspect of the book because they did not handle that very well at all.
As I said, I felt like because we came there to, solve his innocence, and we did do that. Well, then we were trying to solve the family's murder, and we immediately got kicked off of the case. Why? If I believe correctly, it's because they thought that we were unworthy to be in their presence. And they did not want us working on the case.
Not until the Queen put us on, anyways.
Well, remember, then she took us off.
Unfortunately, that is, I guess, how they wanted their country to work. But anyways, it was a decent book. It was a decent sequel. I feel like the Crimes of Passion series is one of their better mystery series, and that is where I will leave it. I hope you all have enjoyed this episode of the K&M podcast. We will be doing another one hopefully pretty soon. I don't know what it will be over just yet.
I have a suggestion. It could be over, what's it called?
Oh Lord.
It's one of the books that I'm reading. Kindred. However the frick you pronounce it. That
Oh
one.
yeah, we could. Yeah, that's what we can do. We'll do Kindred as our next book. Kindred was a good book. It was one of their better books. I was sad that it was
Yeah.
Gingerlock, but it was still a good book. But anyways, again, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you all in the next one when we will be discussing Kindred.
Woohoo.